Welcome into today's podcast right here at the Cog Hill 40. Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the canned ham for this episode, so here's Jason and Brooke. Johnny Carson didn't have nothing on these folks.
What is going on, Cog Squad? This is another episode of the Cogcast Podcast coming at you from the windy Cog Hill 40 today in the canned ham. And yes, I don't have my glasses on because I left them in the car.
Or he thinks he left them in the car.
I think both pair are in there. Actually, they're in there from our enjoyable weekend.
What did we do this week? Oh. Never mind. That was a joke, by the way.
That was a joke. We had an amazing time this weekend in Pryor, Oklahoma. Our first time being in Oklahoma.
First time being in the lovely Oklahoma.
It was lovely. The main difference, thinking of it, and Marycarl picked up on it quick. The first time, Marycarl said she never saw a single pine tree was one.
Right.
And Alabama is nothing but pine trees, it seems like. And the flatness, it was just so flat. And not that Alabama's got mountains or anything like that, but a lot of Alabama is a lot of hills.
Well, and another thing that she noticed was nothing had greened up there yet.
Nothing had greened up there yet, and I explained to her that, they're north of us, so there's a big climate difference, and, we're green here now.
That just goes to show you about seed starting and, the different zones.
That's
just
right.
Because we started seeds doesn't mean it's time for you to start seeds, but you just kind of have to follow your
That's right.
last frost date. And
Exactly. Yeah, then that was the perfect example of that, too. But it was still lovely. Everything was it was awesome.
We love to see new ground that we've never seen before.
Right.
And whether it be Oklahoma or Florida, we don't, if it's something new to us, it's always eye-opening and realization that there's much more to the world than little bitty Alabama.
That's right.
It's amazing to me, really, the differences in cultures just going a little bit.
Yeah, if we'd have drove, would have been 12 hours or 14?
I think it was 12 hours.
Because it was North Oklahoma.
It was North Oklahoma.
And that was the other thing. We were so many viewers and fans that came up to us, and a lot of them said, well, we're from Kansas, and we're like, oh, that was a travel. And I was like, no, it was just a couple of hours. Or they were from Arkansas.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it was just a 45-minute drive. Missouri was 45 minutes, or some, but it's because they were on the edge, I believe. Where we're at, we're dead center Alabama. So if you come from another state, it's like 3 hours no matter which state you come from. Yeah, it seems like you're going to have to drive to get to us.
Right.
So that was really what kind of threw us off for a minute there.
I kind of felt like after talking to some people, I needed to brush up on my geography.
Yeah.
Because you tend to lose track of things when you stay in one state and you don't travel very much.
Right.
Then you look at the weather and there was a tornado in Iowa or something like that, but you're still not geographically zoned into that area like you would be if you lived there.
Right.
So
you're exactly right.
I did learn that Arkansas is pretty close to Oklahoma.
Arkansas and Kansas and Missouri, and I knew they were close.
Yeah, I know.
But when
Texas.
they were saying Texas, when they were saying like they drove 30 or 40 minutes, I was like,
yeah, I know. It made us realize that it was, it could be right there.
Right. Well, we did meet people. Like there was one that was from Greenville, South Carolina, that drove 1,600 miles.
1,600 miles. We had a couple of people that were from Orlando, Florida.
Yes. There was people from California, some people from Arizona.
Some people from Maine.
The people from Maine, y'all, bless their hearts. They got caught up in that big storm system that pushed through. And we'll get into that with us, too. But there was a big storm system that pushed towards the east, and their flight was going through when all that seemed to be happening. And they were on an airplane from Maine to Atlanta, Georgia. Is that right?
Yes.
For 23 hours.
23 hours.
Flew to Atlanta twice on the same plane. And how do you do that is beyond me.
I felt so sorry for them because then they were told that they couldn't spend the night in the airport.
Right.
They got to Atlanta at 10 p.m. Their flight was going to reboard at 6 a.m. the next morning. So they were just going to stay in the airport that night.
Yep.
But they were told they could not stay in the airport. So at 10 o'clock that night, they had to find a hotel, had to find a way to get to the hotel. Then they had to get up at Well, I'll say this: the butt crack of dawn, because that's what we say, and hop on a flight. Once again, that was leaving from Atlanta to Pryor, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. We went from Atlanta to Pryor, to Tulsa.
To Tulsa. We flew into Tulsa, and Tulsa was 45 minutes from Pryor, where everything was. And we flew out of Atlanta, and we had some people say, "Why don't y'all fly in Atlanta, not Birmingham?" Because Birmingham was only an hour away from us, but Birmingham had 0 straight shot flights. All of them had layovers, and we didn't want to fly to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte back to Tulsa. We just didn't want to go that route.
Yeah, I didn't want to get off a plane, back on a plane, spend the layover time. It was just, the cards weren't in our favor. It was better for us to drive to Atlanta, which was 2 hours and 45 minutes, and get on the plane there and have a straight shot.
Yep, that's
or at
exactly
least
right.
We thought it was.
Well, it was a straight shot. But that storm system pushed through, and
This was on Friday.
This was on Friday, and it was pretty nasty storm system. We were ahead of it about an hour driving, so we never got into it.
No, we got to Atlanta and it wasn't even raining.
That's right.
And when we left here, it had just started to rain, so we were ahead of it the whole way driving.
We were, and I was constantly watching it. Get there, and we had realized about halfway through the trip this storm system was going to hit by the time we board our plane.
Which was not the initial weather forecast.
No, not at all. It was moving a lot faster than they anticipated. And so, lo and behold, that did kind of happen. And so our flight got delayed by an hour and 45 minutes.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But that was okay. I mean, we were okay with that. As long as we got there, that's all that mattered. So we just hung out in the airport and twiddled our thumbs and watched the weather, because we could see the lightning still off in the distance, and we didn't know if we'd be boarding after the delay because of all the weather activity.
Yeah, there was the people going to the Bahamas in a plane next to us, and of course their flight was delayed, and you could tell they were getting antsy. And then they told them, they was like, "All right, all passengers boarding Nassau, please get up. Flight number 2651, please. We're boarding now." So they all get up.
I think they started boarding.
And then they said, "All right, passengers, we have got a lightning warning, just lightning, so everybody sit back down and unboard the plane." And we're like, "Oh my gracious!"
You could hear the
so mad.
In the air. I mean, because their little terminal area was right beside ours, and it was nothing to laugh about, because those people were ready to get on with their vacation.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're flying, you want it to be nice and perfect. And
sure.
If a little bit of delay ain't gonna make that much difference, really. Now, 23 hours flying around, I could be upset with that. Bless our hearts.
I have flown, a couple of handfuls of time.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever flew was with my senior cruise, and we went to Mexico.
Right.
And we boarded the plane in Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't board the plane. We boarded the boat in Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we flew, and I did very well on the airplane. I did very well.
No issues. And you were 18.
I was 18.
Right.
Never flown before. First airplane. I did well. So excited to get on my senior cruise. Jason and I were dating. I didn't want to go, but it was, you were excited to go on a trip. And I got on the boat, and before we even took off on the small cruise ship, I could feel the boat moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, it'll be better when I start moving.
Right.
It didn't get any better. I was sick the entire 6 days or 5 days that we were on our senior cruise.
Yes.
And sick to the point where I only got off one stop. We had 3 stops. But I was so sick I couldn't get on the little, what do you call them?
Like a little ferry boat.
Yeah, that take you to the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I did my, we didn't have cell phones then.
Right.
This was a while back. But I did my thinking as to how a helicopter could land and rescue me and get me back home, because I was so sick.
You didn't leave your room.
I didn't leave my room except for to vomit and come back and vomit some more. And it was just a miserable trip altogether. And I did have medicine, but nothing helped.
Right.
So I decided right then I'd never go on another cruise. And I haven't. And I won't.
Haven't been on a cruise ship. Haven't done deep sea fishing or anything like that, because we know this is not going to work.
Don't tell me a bigger boat and I won't feel it. I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Period.
It's because once you get on there, you're stuck, and then what do you do?
Well,
They're not
my
going to turn that cruise ship around because of you.
Oh, I know that. I know that. My mentality is now that once you've gotten sick and you feel it, then whether you're really sick or not, you're going to think you are.
Right.
So,
it's a mental thing, too.
I ain't doing it.
Right.
But I've never flown in weather. You and I have taken several trips to Orlando.
We've gone to Orlando. We've gone to Dallas. We've gone to San Francisco. We've flown to Charlotte before. We've flown to the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
I'm probably missing some, but we're not like professional.
We're not jet setters.
We don't have a credit card that we get air miles on because we don't travel that much. But we do. We've flown and we know what to expect, and it's not. Flying is semi-stressful.
It is.
But it's not near as stressful when you've done it a couple of times. You know what to expect.
Yeah, and we felt like we were as prepared as we could
be.
We knew Atlanta was a big airport, but we felt like, hey, we don't even have any luggage. All we have is carry-on bags,
right.
So surely we can make this easy.
Yes.
And sure enough, getting through the boarding, getting through the security, it was not a big deal. We were so thankful that everything went smooth and, no delays. We were, of course, 3 hours ahead of time, and then it ended up being 4.5 or 5 hours ahead of time.
Because I will say that's one of my biggest fears with flying is getting there a little too late, and then security take twice as long than you anticipate, and then they start calling you over the intercom. The Smith family of 3, you're boarding. You got 5 minutes to board the plane. You're running. That's kind of a fear of mine. So we always get there way early.
So one reason we didn't want to fly out until Friday was because we wanted to feed the animals and take care of everything before we left.
That's right.
And we were able to do that because, like I said, it wasn't quite raining yet. It started to rain as soon as we got in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to get all the animals fed and taken care of before we left Friday morning. Got the dogs situated. The dogs stayed here.
Yes, everything was fine.
Everything was fine.
Everything was fine. We had everything lined up. We had somebody here. We had another farm, our good friends, the Head Family Farm, that came and checked on things. Mr. Greg even came down here and checked on things. And so, everything was lined up and planned on our end. And
needless to say, as a worrier that I am, I felt good about things.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like everything was under control. I had no worries about the animals being taken care of, and everything was going to go well here. So that wasn't an issue.
Right.
I'd never flown. You had never flown in weather.
No, we've never flown in weather. We've had some turbulence before.
Turbulence to the point where you had to grab on to.
Yeah, we've had some rough turbulence before in the past, and to say it don't scare you, it does and it doesn't. For us, now I know some people. Flying is an absolute, super anxious to the point of needing to take some medicine to calm the nerves down. And I could see how turbulence could really, really affect some people. But us, it affects us a little bit, but not to the point where we were going to have an anxiety attack.
Right. I feel like we were prepared as much as we could as far as what to expect. And Marycarl was perfectly fine. She had no issues whatsoever. No anxiety. She likes to fly. She likes to look out the window. And I'm, on the other hand, like, just get me there.
Right.
Okay? Just get me there because...
Yeah. Marycarl loves looking out the window and pointing everything out.
I told her before we took off, I said, Marycarl, please don't tell me to look at this and look at that because I just don't want to, okay? No offense.
Well, because you know that there's a chance that you could get motion sickness on the airplane.
Well, I did get motion sickness one time.
One time before.
Marycarl was 2 years old. We went to San Francisco, and the, GM was paying, GM as in General Motors, which is, Jason worked for a dealership that was a GM dealership, so they paid for the trip.
Yes.
Well, them paying for the trip, they boarded us on the closest airplane, which was Montgomery, Alabama.
That's right.
45-minute drive from where we were at the time?
It was.
So we boarded in Montgomery, and we had a direct flight to Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a big plane. It was probably, it was the smallest plane I guess we've ever been on.
That was the smallest. It was just 2 seats on each side, a 2-seater, 2 seats and 2 seats, and then the aisle down the middle. I don't know how many holes, because it looks like there's 50 people in there to me, and it's
Yeah.
usually like 120 or something like that. I can't judge crowds anyway, so.
Yeah. So the trip to California was fine.
Right.
I didn't enjoy the flight, but I was able to make it.
Right.
But on the way back,
Got you.
it got me,
Yeah.
and I threw up a little bit. I threw up a lot, and I had one of those little baggies that they put behind your
yep.
seat, and so every plane ride we've ever been on since then, I've always looked for the bag.
Right.
Not
first thing.
anticipating having to use it, but
Right.
just needing to know it's there in case, because I don't really know if it's gonna come or not. You
Right.
know, I'll feel like, oh, I'm okay, I got this, and we
Right.
get up in the air, and for some reason it just hits me, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But so that Dallas trip's always in the back of my mind, going from Dallas to Montgomery on that small plane, because I was wiped out.
Right.
I mean, wiped out. Marycarl was too. She didn't know what to think,
Right.
and but I never have anticipated it happening like that again.
Yep. And matter of fact, we've gone to Orlando several times after that.
Never had a problem.
Never had a problem. And then the last time we went to Orlando, you bought some all-natural Dramamine, which was basically ginger
and chamomile.
and
I
chamomile, and so you took it and had zero effect, as if we drove a car.
I was so good, and I was able to go to the park as
Yep.
soon as we got there. I mean, I did fantastic.
You did.
I would have been a jet setter from that point forward, because I was so comfortable.
We thought, we got this now.
We got this.
We got this. So you got some more of the ginger and chamomile.
I did.
And took it 30 minutes before the flight,
I did.
or at least 30 minutes before the flight. Get on the plane, and we are starting to take off. The weather is still dark, just not stormy, but you know the atmosphere is it's not smooth or anything like that.
You couldn't see around you because
You
it was just
couldn't.
cloudy.
It was cloudy. And it was fairly rough going up. I will say that. And so I'm in the middle. Of course, Marycarl's at the window, and you're on the aisle. And so we're going up, and of course, me and Marycarl's constantly hitting me. Daddy, look, Daddy, look, Daddy, look, Daddy, look at this, look at that. And so I'm constantly looking. So after about, I don't know, probably 5 minutes or so, I turn and look, and you're straight up like this, and your eyes are closed. And then Marycarl looks at me and goes, "Is she sick, Daddy?" I said, "I think she is." And Marycarl said, "Well, maybe she's just asleep." I said, "No, it's not. Mama don't sleep, baby. She ain't gonna sleep on no airplane. I don't think she feels good." And I remember asking you, and you said, "Yeah, I'm a little sick." So we finally get up and get level, and your color completely changed, because you were kind of whitish looking, and your color completely changed, and you said, "I'm better now. I mean, I'm good. I'm good."
I thought it was gone. I was like, whew, glad that's over. You know, it's gone, and
Gone.
I'm good. I'm good. So I sat back, and I thought I was
Yeah.
going to enjoy the rest of the flight, and we had this little thing that told us how much further
Yep.
we had, and of course I was watching it because I was ready to get down.
And it was about a 2-hour flight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was ready to get down just because of that feeling that I had had previously. I thought, oh, I don't want that to come back. Lo and behold, it came back.
On the way down, even though there was no storm system, there was a lot of wind in Tulsa when we landed, and it was actually rougher landing than it was going up in that the tail end of that storm. In my opinion, it was really, really bouncy, and just boom, 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 and you got the sickest I've ever seen you on an airplane.
I was so sick.
Yeah.
I felt like I was on the worst ride of my life, and I couldn't get off. And I couldn't. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I was on the worst ride of my life, and I couldn't get off. And so I grabbed my bag, and I did throw up a little bit. But my biggest thing was I thought I was going to pass out.
Yeah, that's what you kept saying. I feel like I'm going to pass out. I feel like I'm going to pass out.
I would throw up a little bit. And I had a drink in my bag, and I told Jason, I said, just get that water out of that bag. Just get that water out of my bag. And I thought to myself I was going to pour it on me, because that was what was going to remedy, in my mind, that was going to remedy my problem.
Yeah.
But you got the water. I took a couple of sips of it, and I just kept holding your hand saying,
Yep.
please don't let me pass out. Please
Right.
don't let me pass out. And I don't know what made me thought I was going to pass out, but I just knew it. I
Yeah.
just knew it. And I didn't pass out.
You didn't pass out, and when we landed and stopped for a few minutes, your color came back.
The color came back, and I was actually feeling like
and
I
you
was
were,
okay.
You were feeling, saying okay as in, okay that I'm not going to pass out, but you still didn't feel good, and you were
Well, I was
wiped
wiped out. I was so wiped
Yeah.
out, and I was just I was so happy to be off the airplane. I was so relieved, and I thought, okay, now let's let the fun begin because all that's behind us. And
Right.
we may should have drove, but we couldn't have fed the animals before we left and drove. It was just too many variables.
Right.
So we rented a car at the airport.
Yep, rented a car, got the car, headed on out, made it to the hotel, and I had plans because I didn't know exactly what we were going to do when we got there, but I have two truly dearest friends that I met over 3 years ago, and that is Andy and Doug at Halstools Farm, and I talk to Andy quite often, or we text quite often, and I haven't seen them in over 3 years. And Andy had sent me a message earlier in the week and said, hey, let's do dinner when you get there. What day you're going to get there? And we have originally planned to get there in earlier because it was a 3-day event. And we were going to get there, the 2 days prior. And we could have hung out with Andy and Doug.
Right.
But, the whole farm thing and not us having somebody here that amount of time because we couldn't get nobody to do it that amount of time to watch the farm. So we decided that we're just going to do the Saturday when we speak. And I had told Andy that. And so Andy said, well, when y'all get there, if you get there in time, let's do dinner. I was like, absolutely. And so we got there and we got to the hotel and you're like, Jason, I just can't. I mean, I feel terrible. I want to meet them so bad, but I just can't. And you said, you go on and go. And me and Marycarl, both of y'all were wiped out.
Yeah, she really didn't want to go anywhere.
Right.
She said, Mama, I'm okay to just stay here if you want to stay here. And I said, okay. I said, as long as you're okay with it, then I would like to stay too. So Jason went and had dinner. He took our little rental car, but that was okay because within walking distance, there was a little pizzeria.
Yeah.
Obviously, those are all over. I can't remember what it was called.
I can't remember what it's called either.
But Marycarl and I said, we'll just walk over there and get something to eat if we get hungry. And I really didn't want anything to eat, but I knew I needed to. But I knew she had to have something to eat too. So I offered to call it in because Marycarl really didn't want to go anywhere. But she changed her tune. So we walked over to the pizza place and had a wonderful dinner, just the two of us. And Jason was fine and dandy out with his friends.
Right. And so y'all did that. Y'all were perfectly fine. Actually, the Mexican restaurant I met Andy and Doug at as it was a half a mile from the hotel.
Jason said, I could have walked.
And so I met them there. And if y'all don't know who Andy and Doug are, this Halstools Farm, and
You may want to spell that.
Of course, you hand, and it's Hewn, Hewn. And they're two best friends, and they do this, and it's hard to explain, but it is a pig butchering course, but they do it like you would have done in the 1600s or 1700s. It is an authentic, it's just hard to explain, but it is so informative, and
I act like I've been there, but I hadn't. I'm just working off
information.
Awesome.
I mean, it really is. If that's something you're into, growing your own food and that type of thing, if you ever have the opportunity to attend one of their classes, it's worth it. They are amazing two guys, and I just love them to death. And so, gosh, it was just great. I got to meet them. I hadn't seen them in over 3 years, and I could have hugged their necks. And then I also met another channel that I have never met before, and that was Jill and Nate at Whispering Willow. And they were two amazing people as well. If you haven't seen their channel, y'all go check it out. She is an up-and-comer flower farmer. She actually bought...
How ironic.
I know it. So me and her had a lot to talk about. And she's the one that just recently bought Jess's at Roots and Refuge Farm. And they were just so awesome. So awesome.
I did get to meet them a little bit later. So I can vouch for them being wonderful people and just very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. Just great people. And I had an awesome time eating with those guys. And just, it wasn't even the eating part. I think we were there for over 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I told you when you
talking.
left, I said, no hurry back.
Yeah.
We'll be asleep. I can guarantee you just come back when you want to, and we'll be here.
As a matter of fact, everybody left. The restaurant was almost empty. It was still me, Andy, and Doug, still talking and just catching up. Love those guys to death. And I told them it's not going to be 3 years We're gonna meet up or something. We're not gonna wait 3 years again. And anyways, they're just awesome guys. So we wake up the next morning.
Yeah, I felt rested.
Yeah.
Felt much better. They had a bathtub, and Marycarl took 2 baths in one night.
One night.
She took one before we went
so
to get pizza, and then we got back, and she said, "Mama, would you think I was crazy if I took another bath?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I might do the same." And so, needless to say, I think Marycarl took like 5 baths in 2 days.
Oh, it's so funny.
I didn't take quite that many, but I did get my share in, and I did enjoy every minute of it.
That's so funny.
So after after we were all bathed and cleaned up and ready to go, we got in our little car and we drove over to Tulsa.
Pryor.
Drove from Tulsa. Well, we were in Pryor already.
We were in Locust Grove.
From Locust Grove to Pryor.
To Pryor. And that's where the event was.
How far was that? About 20 minutes.
It wasn't far at all. Yeah, it was about 20 minutes. Absolutely was. And we got there. We decided the night before we were going to sleep as late as we wanted to because our speaking engagement was at 1 o'clock. Was at 1 o'clock.
So as long as we got there and plenty of time to meet people and feel like we gave them, a chance to hang out with us a little bit.
Because the doors opened at 7.
They did.
Opened at 7.
After all what we had been through the day before, it just wasn't possible to get there at 7. So we let ourselves wake up. We didn't set a clock. And we got there about, 9:30?
Yeah, about 9:30. We said we slept late, and we got there at 9:30. So
but we needed it in
order.
Sleeping
late to us was like 8 o'clock.
We needed it in order to at least I did.
Yeah.
To charge ourselves and get ready so we could be pleasurable to meet instead of the cranky people we probably were on Friday.
Oh, me. Yes, you're exactly right. So we do get there, and we start walking in. And we didn't quite make it inside, and of course we had some viewers come up and start talking, and which was absolutely great. And so we talked. I felt
so relaxed and I felt so comfortable. When we pulled up, I didn't really think there were that many people there.
Yeah, it didn't. It was because it was a very big fairground for one.
I think we pulled up on the opposite side, maybe where
we parked in where the vendors park, not where the actual parking where everybody else parked.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and they did that intentionally.
I'm saying because we didn't see how many people were there.
Yeah, we didn't see how many people were there, and so so we're walking. We meet several of our followers.
Well, I thought this was an ironic meeting. We met a lady who was from Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Almost right off the bat. First, we saw Miss Sue.
Miss Sue
from Orlando. And Miss Sue, glad you could make it.
Well, I will say this about Miss Sue. I think we've been to 2 events, and Miss Sue's come to both of them, and she's from Orlando.
Yeah.
And I think if we had an event in British Columbia,
she would come.
Miss Sue would come.
I don't know. She and I talked about airplane rides afterwards, and she might not come.
So she had a rough one, didn't she?
She did. Just long. She just didn't.
Yeah.
But the lady I was referring to was actually probably the second person I met, and she just so happened to be from the same city, Orlando, Florida. And she was a florist at Disney for a long time.
Was it 17 years?
No, she has said you had to be 17 years in to be able to get into the park.
Oh, so it was over 17
I want to say it was 30.
Oh my gracious.
I want to say it was 30. I can't remember.
That's
because
unbelievable.
I met quite a few people, but she stuck out because I felt like she was a florist.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we trying to do?
We're trying to grow
do
flowers.
See this?
Oh yeah. We got to change the subject. This is the Cog Hill Flower Farm shirt. And they should be out when this podcast comes out. If they're not, they should be there in the next day or two. But they should be out when this podcast comes out.
But that lady, and I wish I could remember her name, was so nice and made me feel so comfortable.
Yep.
For the first person I met that I didn't already know. Already knew Miss Sue from Orlando.
Right.
But from that point forward, I felt like she was the face that needed to welcome me, to make me feel comfortable and to feel at home. And
That's awesome.
I just connected with her, and I just felt like I was, it was the right place at the right time to start the event.
That is so awesome. Of course, then we finally made our way into, came up. I saw Aaron from 4 Kids in a Farm.
Uh-huh.
He came up, which was so awesome to meet him in person.
Uh-huh.
Then we saw Cattywampus Acres.
Yes.
They came up, and I was so happy to see Jason. And then we started to head inside, and we got inside, and I think we took probably about a good 15 steps inside. And
There was a water fountain behind us, so it was kind of just right inside the door.
And right there by the bathrooms, the entrance there, and that's when people started to realize we were there.
Yeah, I don't know where we thought we were going.
We
when
didn't
we went
know
in
we were
that
going.
building.
We were just walking around. We didn't know where we were going.
We didn't, and we probably shouldn't have taken that route because it was so enclosed. We probably should have, thinking about it now.
Yeah.
We probably should have went to where the vendors were, where it was more wide open, but we didn't know.
We didn't know, but it was fine. It was perfectly fine. We started to meet everybody, and it was awesome. I actually got to meet some other people that I know virtually from online, and that was the Texas boys. It was so nice to meet those guys.
I met that I felt like that I knew, but I had never put a face on them.
Who's that?
VW Farm.
VW Farms. We met them as well. Yeah, it was so nice to meet them. Oh, gosh.
I don't want to leave anybody out, so we're not going to pinpoint everybody.
No, just people that we've been friends with for a while.
Yes. And
online friends.
I really wanted to meet a couple of people that we did not see that were at the event.
Yeah.
And that was the Lejeune from Louisiana.
Reap what you sow.
Reap what you sow. They are an awesome family. And I sent her a message when we got back. Actually, it was Jeffrey that I think I was talking to. And I said, I hate we didn't get to spend time with you. And he said, well, the lines were long. We realized that y'all had a lot of people to meet. And he said, to us, y'all are more like family, and we will get together. And that is true. We will get together. Because,
absolutely.
Some of these people that we've never put eyes on, that doesn't mean that we don't,
right.
feel like we have a relationship with them and that we could ask on each other's help at any time.
Right. That's
and I felt like
exactly
that
right.
about all those people. 4 Kids and a Farm,
Yes.
VW Farm. I mean,
right.
of course, Dutch and Daniel and
Right.
people that we already knew previously, but you just feel like you're one big family. You finally get to put eyes on them.
The community part, and me and Daniel talk about that. Even in that dinner with me, Andy, Doug, and the other people that were there, we were just talking about how great the community is, how selflessness and it's just awesome how we all help each other out. And then Daniel even talked about that. Somebody asked a question about YouTube, and Daniel said, find you a community in this niche, YouTube related, and feed off each other. Don't make it a competition,
right.
and don't get jealous, and don't compare yourself to these other channels. Find some that are maybe relatively the same size you are, and feed off each other and help each other. And that's what we've done. And it is a pretty big group of us now.
It is, and I do feel like there are some, I don't know if you call it niches out there that don't want to help each other and don't want to go that extra mile to make sure others succeed. And we don't want to be a part of that.
No, not at all. It's just one giant, huge community, and that means a lot. It really does. It means a whole lot. Just like you guys mean a lot. I don't know what your anticipation was. I don't know what because we never really talked about, we were just going, we're going to have fun, we're going to meet people, we're going to enjoy it because we love meeting you guys. And, we had went to the one in Milton, Florida. Of course, it was a good bit smaller. This was I don't know what army of people. I think Daniel told me today, me and Daniel talked today on the phone.
You're talking about Daniel Arms.
Daniel Arms, and he said that there were 50 volunteers for this event, not including the channels that were involved.
Wow.
So I don't know exactly how many people were involved, but it was awesome. But getting back to the viewers, I don't know because we didn't talk about it, and I was thinking, Milton, Florida. I don't know how many people we met there, but I was thinking that it was going to be bigger than that, obviously, but not to this extent. I really did not anticipate there being, I think what they said, 3,500 people?
35 to 4,000.
Not to say that we shook hands with that many people by all means, but
that's how many people attended the event.
It was, when we got in at that right there by that bathroom, we were there for right at 2 hours.
Until Dutch came and said, look, y'all got to move.
Well, Dutch said, y'all got to move, and let's go get you lunch. And it didn't happen. we would take a few steps, and then somebody would come up to us and listen. This is how we are. If we can, if it's absolutely in our power, and we can, we're going to try our best to talk, shake hands, hug, laugh with every single one of y'all.
So as Dutch was trying to herd us over to the area where he was going to have lunch for us, I bet we stopped 15 times, and I could see Dutch was, it was a time issue with him because he had other things to do, and he'd turn around and we'd be stopped again.
Yeah.
But I couldn't walk past him.
I can't walk. And I eventually told Dutch, I said, don't worry about it, man. Listen.
We'll figure it out.
Don't worry about us. You go do what you need to do. We do not mind at all. We don't. We do. It does not. We actually enjoy it because the way me and you feel about it is that you came and took the time out of your day, regardless if you drove 1,600 miles or if you drove 3 miles, to come and see and meet us. And so therefore we're going to take our time to do the same. So eventually I told Dutch, don't worry about it. And we didn't even eat lunch.
We didn't. Yeah. He gave me a couple of tickets and I stuck them in my pocket, and it was for a pig fry and fries. Something
like that. It was something that was
fried pig and fries.
It was a Native American type cuisine, and
it was the biggest, supposedly the biggest hit there, and they thought it was going to sell out, so they had us tickets, and I stuck them in my jacket pocket. So if he said you can eat anywhere your heart's desire, but I want to make sure if y'all want to have this, then you can. And so here it was 12:30, and Marycarl, she was with us, and she kind of took off with some of her friends as soon as we got there, and we told her, just as long as you stay where somebody knows where you are, then we're fine with that.
Yeah, because we're friends with these channels like Dutch and the Naked Hog, and so Marycarl's friends
with their
children, and so Marycarl, hasn't seen her friends from Dutch's crew in a while, and she sees Wes and the Blairs, sees their kids every now and then. So when they all get together, they're all super happy and excited. So it's a big deal for them too.
So at 12:30, I get a message from her because I did give her a phone to where she could text me in case she needed me. And she said, Mama, I'm hungry. And I said, okay. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, okay, Jason's got to speak at 1 o'clock. It's 12:30. There is no way I can stand in one of these lines for this long because the food vendor line was unreal at every one of them.
Wow.
Every one of them. And I thought, this child has to eat. And I don't really care if I eat or not.
Right.
But I had went over prior to her sending me that message and gotten some popcorn from Ma and Pa Kettle Corn.
Yeah.
And I'll give you that information so you can put it at the bottom of this video.
Okay.
Because they are now our friends. They were friends a little bit before this. I have to tell you that story. But I said, Marycarl, I've got kettle corn. You want that for lunch? Because that was going to be my lunch, kettle corn. And she said, no, Ma, I need food. And I was like, okay. So as bad as I hated to, I walked up to the people preparing the food, which was Kevin at Hidden Heights' wife, Rachel, is who I talked to.
Okay.
And I didn't know what she looked like. And so I said, I'm not trying to act like I'm all that. I said, I don't know of another way to put it. But Jason has to speak at 1 o'clock, and I'm from Cog Hill Farm, and I need to get Marycarl something to eat. And she was like, no, don't you stand in that line. I'll fix you a plate. We're waiting on the bread. And I was like, phew. Because when Marycarl needs to eat, she needs to eat. And I knew she was not going to go stand in a line herself because she didn't know what to order.
Right.
She's 12 years old, and yes, she's plenty old to get her own food, but she's always had us to do that. So I did get a plate.
You did get her a plate. And,
I did.
I mean, you did. I did try it a couple of bites, and it was good.
It was
really good. Yep.
So they had this little room set aside for the speakers to go into. And lo and behold, when we went in there, it was slap full of kids. There wasn't an adult in there.
There wasn't an adult in there. And also, while we were over there at the pavilion, I call it a pavilion, where the vendors were, I wanted to say this before we kept going, was I met somebody for the first time in my life.
Who's that?
Daniel from Arm's family.
Daniel from Arm's family.
Me and him have been friends, I don't know how long.
Y'all been friends for a long time.
I've been doing this, it'll be 6 years in July. He started a little bit before me. I don't know when we officially started talking back and forth. Well, me and him have been friends for a while and talk every day or text every day. And so to finally meet him in person.
I even took a picture of him because I felt like it was a... And I bet Daniel thought I was some weirdo because here I was taking pictures of him and Jason. But I just felt like after all this time, it was time that they finally met. I don't know if you can see that or not, but...
Oh, I shut it off.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gracious. But, yeah, it was so... It's a big glare. Is it going to focus? It's not going to focus. Of course, it's not going to focus. Anyways, you can go to... Y'all probably seen. We've got several pictures on our Facebook and Instagram account. But finally met Daniel, and it was so awesome to finally meet him in person. And... So me and him talked for a while, a little bit. We were kind of in a spot where wasn't nobody at, so it was kind of great.
It was like where not the food vendors, but the vendors were set up that were selling things, and it was kind of behind a corner.
Yep.
And during that time, we met a couple from Maine.
We did meet a couple from Maine
that Jason had met the night previously.
I did when we were at the Mexican restaurant checking out, and it was late because there wasn't nobody in there hardly. We're standing there at the counter. Me and Andy were paying for food, and somebody goes, "Jason," and I turned around and I said, "Hello," and she said, "I'm a fan. We just flew in from Maine." She says, "I'm not gonna bother you. I know you're eating blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh no, this is awesome!" And so I talked to her for a minute, and it was funny. What was funny is we're leaving out, me, Andy, and Doug. And Andy goes, "Did you realize what just happened?" And I said, "What?" I don't. He said, "We're in Locust Grove, Oklahoma. It is nearly 10 o'clock. We're standing in line in a Mexican restaurant that we've never been to before in our life and paying for our dinner, and somebody says your name who is from Maine." He said, "Just think about that for a second." And I was like, it's just crazy. I cannot wrap my head around it. Because like we say so many times, we're just normal folks.
We are.
Yeah.
And I think that those of you that got to meet us really realize that we are no different than any other Joe, except we have a YouTube channel and we try to entertain you.
Yeah, we do. And they probably realize that we're exactly how we are on camera.
I read that so many times in the comments. And even people told me that, and that just relaxed me so. But I must say this. Not at one point during the whole day did I ever feel uncomfortable.
Never. Or feel like, gosh, if I have to shake one more person,
I never felt like that.
Never.
Not one time.
I had such a great time. I'm telling you, I had such a wonderful time.
I found myself in a routine of saying, "Where are you from?"
Yep.
And I really and truly wanted to know where they were from. And I thought, if this helps me to know them better, then maybe it'll help them feel more comfortable that I'm just everyday kind of person.
Yep,
And
I agree.
Where are you from? And of course, I wish I had a recording of where everybody was from because it was so just all over the place.
It was all over the place. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. And plus, too, I think, too, when we started asking where people were from, it kind of broke the ice because most everybody was so nervous and didn't know what to say to us. And
like I said, once I realized I didn't plan that.
No, not
but
at
once
all.
I started asking a couple of people where they were from, and they told me, I was like, wow, that's a long way. Or right here in Oklahoma, I just drove 5 minutes down the road. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I felt. I appreciate those that drove from or flew from Maine, but I also appreciated those that went 5 minutes down the road.
Right.
And because they had a purpose of being there, whether it was to see us or see Daniel or who it was to see, they came for a reason. And I wanted to make sure that I hopefully spoke to everybody that was trying to be spoken to.
I hope so, too. There was one little point where the line was still, we were standing in line taking pictures, and Daniel was actually talking. And so we were, we had a line going. We were taking pictures, talking to people, and then Daniel got through speaking, and then they were like, "We need to get everybody up for the Q&A," and then Dutch come guide us and there were still several people in line, but
I could see them kind of like,
oh no,
man, I've been standing here who knows how long, and I felt so bad.
I felt so bad, but we stayed there afterwards, so hopefully those people got to see us.
I told Jason, I said, we'll just have to pick right back up where we left off.
And we did.
Yeah. And we did. So hopefully those people didn't scatter out. They came and were able to meet us. I
sure hope so. But it was so awesome. And the I had note cards because we were speaking about our profitable meat chicken operation, because we were a profitable working farm for over 5 years.
I wonder if you could find that whole speech and add it to this podcast.
I can tell y'all where to go to watch it. Our dear friend Mike at Sunny Slope Homestead live streamed the entire thing and posted it on his YouTube channel.
Can you put a link to it?
I will. And he told me, he said, I can't remember how many views it had already gotten, but it had gotten a good many. And he told me he was sorry that he says, I think people are thinking this is your channel and it's not. And he said, I'm so sorry. And I was like, man, don't worry about that.
No.
Don't worry about that at all, buddy. So anyways, Sunny Slope Homestead on YouTube, he does have it. I think it's in 2 parts. I think he had to do it in 2 parts. But our entire speech is there on his YouTube channel, and I will try to put that in here.
And that was somebody that I had always known who they were. I actually ordered one of his shirts.
Yes.
You didn't know anything about it. It's just somebody that we know, and you put that face with that person, and it just, it all comes together. And Mike at Sunny Slope was one of them.
He's such an awesome dude.
He and his daughter
I've been friends with him for a while now, and he's a smaller channel, but I love him to death.
Yeah,
and,
he's a good guy.
Good guy.
He really is. He's always, he's always reached out to us, like when Jason was sick. Anything I can do, please let me know. And that's the kind of people you want in your.
It is.
And I feel like everybody that was at that event would help any one of us at any time.
That's right, because we met we knew, like I said, we knew some of them, but Walker Farms, I didn't know Kevin in
Hidden Heights,
and you and his wife, y'all really.
Rachel, I am truly inspired by her telling me that she could weld.
Yes.
And I woke up once during the night last night, and I said, I'm not going to get my phone. I'm not going to do it. And I didn't. But my thoughts were, I'm going to see if Jeff State offers a welding course. Yeah, because Rachel at Hidden Heights can weld, and I am just amazed by that.
And not only can she weld, she taught Kevin how to weld.
So I liked her besides the fact that she could weld, but I just felt like we if we were in the same place, we could really hang out.
Yeah, that was awesome. Moorhead Homestead was another one that was involved in it, and if I'm forgetting somebody, please forgive us.
The Max. I feel so bad. I actually commented to her this morning that I'm sorry we didn't. Did you get to meet them?
I did not.
I feel like I should have taken time to make myself go to her and say, I'm Brooke. Nice to meet you.
Right.
But time did not put us in the same place at the same time where we could do that. And I apologize.
Yep. Apologize to them. I did meet Growjack Outdoors, who is a awesome young man who has a YouTube channel who is passionate about gardening.
How old is he?
I can't remember exactly, but I want to say the 10 to 12-year-old age.
Yes, that's
somewhere
what
in
I
there.
was thinking.
His thing is he grows giant watermelons and pumpkins, and like 170-pound not pumpkin, watermelon.
This is a kid now.
This is young man.
And I think he sells his seeds,
too. He does, and he gave me a pack, and I'm definitely going to try to plant those this year.
All right.
Yes. So be sure to check him out. That's so inspiring to me. Absolutely so inspiring to me.
So when the event was over, we were told ahead of time that there would be a dinner that would be provided by Halstools to honor those that spoke at the event, and it was at an Amish home.
That's right.
And it would be served there, like the way they do it in their
family dinners.
Yeah. They, pass down the table. The dishes will be passed the way they do it. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of not knowing where to go.
Right.
And we followed this is another one we didn't
We ain't
talk
mentioned
about.
him yet either. That's Chad.
Chad Doss at Adler Farms,
Yes.
who has been to our old farm before.
That's correct.
I mean, you and Chad talk all the time,
Mhm.
so it's not like. But we got to meet Ray, who is his fiance.
Yes, we did.
So that was nice. But
And I tell you who else I got to meet that I was so happy to meet, and that was Chad's dad, Grandpa Adler.
yes.
And y'all love him to death. That is a energetic, full of life gentleman who is just awesome and who is ripped like
Hulk Hogan.
You just is awesome. I love him to death, and I was so glad to meet him and Chad's brother.
Yes, and
Yes.
Chad's mom too.
And Chad's mom.
Yes. So Chad and Ray were going to the dinner, so we were able to follow them. I don't know if they knew we followed them, but we followed them. And we get there, and it's a Amish
Farm.
farm. And y'all, I am here to tell you some of the best food I have ever put in my mouth.
And it just kept coming too. I think it was cold slaw was first.
Yep. Keep
and
going.
And all this was homemade.
You got to keep going.
Cold slaw, best creamed potatoes I've ever eaten in
Yes.
my life.
Yes.
Then it was green beans.
Uh-huh.
Then it was it the fried chicken was next?
Nope,
No.
chicken and dressing.
Chicken and dressing. Then it was
Gravy.
Gravy. Then it was fried chicken. Then it was roast. And then they came around and said, "You want some coffee?" Of course I did.
No, rolls.
Oh, how did I almost miss that
I
one?
don't
That may
know.
have been y'all. These yeast rolls that they made were the size of Jack's watermelons.
And y'all will not believe
They
this.
was like this.
But Marycarl sat at a kids' table that they had set up. They had 3 extra long tables, and one of them was just kids. And so
Yeah.
she sat there with her friend Avery from the Naked Hog, and we were talking about the dinner, how good it was, and what we enjoyed because we didn't sit together, so we didn't get to talk about it. Y'all won't believe this. So Jason and I ate 1 roll each.
Mm-hmm.
It was very filling, huge, like the size of these.
Huge.
She said, I ate 3 of those rolls.
She ate 3 of them.
3 rolls. That's how good they were.
They were delicious. They had butter and homemade apple butter. Whew. And that could have been dessert.
It could have been. And I thought it might be. But no.
No. When they came around and asked, "Did you want coffee?" I knew dessert was coming, and
Yeah.
I love coffee with my dessert. And I
Yeah.
said, "Yes, sir, please." So gives us the coffee, and here they come, and here comes the chocolate pie. Homemade chocolate pie with a meringue that was like this thick.
No kidding.
And I'm actually, you know what? It wasn't a meringue. It was whipped. It wasn't a
Really?
meringue. Yeah, and it was so. And I saw it coming, and I was like, "Ooh, chocolate pie is good." Well,
Here come a coconut pie.
here comes a homemade coconut pie, and I was like, "Ooh, homemade coconut pie." Well, here comes the homemade pecan pie. so they pass it down, and you get a piece and pass it down. And I got coconut, you got chocolate.
Uh-huh.
That way we could kind of swap. And then here comes the leftover pecan pie headed back, and we were at the end, so everybody had gotten a piece. They wanted it, so there's like 4 pieces of pecan left, and I was like, well, I can't let this go to waste. So I went and got me another piece of pecan pie, and we split it. And
We
y'all,
So
it
I
was-
ate all that food and 1.5 pieces of pie, and I'm telling you what, I'd eat it again right now.
I would too. And there wasn't a crumb on my plate.
Nope, not mine either.
Not a crumb.
Mine either. And that was such a wonderful way to end a just amazing day.
It was. It really was. It was just so awesome. Well, we had a lot of gifts from a lot of our viewers.
Yes.
And we were on the airplane, and we had carry-on, so we didn't bring any luggage with us. So our good friends, and I want to announce, or not announce, but I want to say thank you to 3 farms that helped us out, or 3 YouTube channels. Their YouTube channel farms, homesteads, great people. Number 1 was the Head Family Farm for taking care of things while we were gone.
Yes.
Jacqueline, Zach, thank you guys so much.
And y'all, they made a special trip over here last week to make sure they did everything correctly and knew what to do.
Yes.
So they made 2 trips over here.
Yep, they did. And just thank you guys so much. And the other one was Chestnut Hills Farmstead, who are our neighbors.
They are local to us, and We met them right before we left the old farm.
Yep, we did.
And they didn't know that we had a YouTube channel. They watched Dutch.
Yep.
And Dutch came to visit us. And lo and behold, they found out there was somebody in Alabama who was doing something that they wanted to do. And from that point forward, Nick and Zoe are our friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll forever be friends because we have the same mindset. And we just thank them so much. They drove all the way to Oklahoma.
They did 12 hours.
Offered to take what we could not bring back with us in their car.
And so thank you guys so much for that. And I also want to thank the Blairs at the Naked Hog. Behind the scenes, Wes is my right-hand man. So is Jacqueline and Zach, too.
Yeah. Jason's got a lot of right hand, men and women.
They all help me behind the scenes.
He's got left-hand women and right-hand men.
They do. Wes helps me out a lot, and so does Jacqueline and Zach with our YouTube channel and stuff like that. Jacqueline and Zach handle our website. They also handle our email marketing. And then Wes just whatever. Wes does anything and everything, and just super nice people. And I can't thank you guys enough. Thank y'all. But what I was going to say is that, so Chestnut Hills Farmstead got all our stuff there and went to their hotel while we went to the dinner. So then they're like, swing by the hotel. We'll meet y'all in the parking lot, and y'all can put your stuff in our truck, and then we can, drive it on over there for you. And we said, absolutely awesome, that'll work. So we get to the parking lot.
He tells me to pull her, or I was talking to his wife.
Right.
She said, pull around back and Nick will meet you outside. I'm like, okay.
No
so
problem.
We're tired. We're tired. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock.
It's getting on up there. And so we do that, and as we're unloading, there were some people, our viewers or fans, audience members, Cog Squad members, saw us that didn't get a chance to speak to us at the event.
A few of them were vendors. A few of them just didn't have time to speak.
And so they came over, and we hung out with them for a good little while.
Marycarl sat in the car, and she was sending me messages. I'm tired, Mama. I am tired. I need to. How much longer? I need to go to bed.
It was it was great because it was like 3 or 4 here, and next thing you know, there was more coming out of the hotel.
And if you know me, I don't shut up. So I'm talking to Nick and his daughter, their daughter Mackenzie, while Jason's handling the company that we're we're steadily engaging with, and it just made the day more excitable.
It did, and I got to meet somebody that I'd had a relationship with, a business relationship per se with, a long time ago, and that was Drew. And he did our shirts. He was the first person. He reached out to me when we were a little bitty channel.
Yeah.
We were a little, I don't know how many subscribers we had.
Not very many.
But to him, we were a big channel back then.
Right.
And so he reached out to me, and he was side hustling and was a young man, trying to make $1, and was awesome. And he handled my first few shirts.
And
it was
he did
Peaches
a wonderful job.
and Cog Hill are the 2 shirts he did for me.
Yep.
And eventually did a tip shirt for me at one time. And of course we just got kind of too big where he couldn't handle all the orders coming through. When it was a few orders, it was fine, but when it was as many as it is now, but I got to meet Drew.
Jason looked at me and he said, Brooke, he said, guess who this is?
I knew right when I saw him.
I have never seen his face. Jason had done all the conversing with Drew, so I just knew who Drew was. He said, this is Drew. Well, when he said, this is Drew, I was like, the Drew that made our shirts. And he was like, yeah. I said, oh my gosh, hey, Drew. And it was just like putting a name with the face.
It was. And Drew loves older vehicles and loves tinkering around with them. And I knew he had a Volkswagen van. And the first thing I asked him, I said, where's the van? He's like, it's right behind you.
Well, I had already seen the van when we pulled in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to go check that van out.
That's so awesome. I was so glad to meet him. But yeah, we got home.
We got back to the hotel.
Crashed.
We got back to the hotel and crashed.
But hotel, not home.
Yeah, but this time we had a set o'clock.
We did, because our flight left at, we were boarding at 9:30. It was a 45-minute drive. Of course, we like to get there 2 hours ahead of time. But we did realize, Atlanta airport, if you've never been, is a madhouse because it is huge. It is huge. Is it the biggest or busiest airport in the United States?
think
If
so.
not, it's in the top 3 for sure. So it is just crazy. The Tulsa airport was a breeze. It's like the Birmingham airport. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that busy compared to like these monstrous airports you go to. So we wasn't too worried about going through security and all that kind of good stuff. We thought we could just get on in pretty easy. So we ended up sleeping a little bit later.
Well, I didn't. I got up really early so I could take a bath.
Uh-huh.
And, and I had taken one that night, so I just wanted to get one last bath in before we left. And lo and behold, we were there, much ahead of what we needed to be.
Right.
Which was good because the last thing we want to do is be hustling to get back on that airplane.
Right.
So with my experience that I had on the plane ride over, we knew that the natural probably didn't help me very much, meaning natural medicine.
Yes.
So Jason suggested that I buy some Dramamine or something a little stronger.
Right.
And I said, okay, because I really didn't know what to do. I just, I felt like, well, I'll just try it again. If it's just that, then I can deal with it.
Right.
But I said, okay, I probably do need to take something. So I went and bought the Dramamine at the airport and took it. Took it an hour before. Well, probably about 30 minutes into my medicine, I started feeling like really shaky.
You did.
And I went to the bathroom and I came back and you could tell that my color was a little off. And
Yeah.
I just was real fidgety. Like I just couldn't, I don't know how to explain it. It was less drowsy that I bought. And it wasn't that I was about to fall asleep. I just felt very strange. So I said, Jason, do you think I have time to go to the bathroom one more time before the plane boards? Because we were like 5 minutes before. And he said, yeah. So I went to the bathroom and I threw up a little bit, which I thought was odd because I wasn't on a plane. I
Right,
was in the
right.
terminal or waiting to go on the plane. So we get on the plane and of course I make sure I've got bags. And y'all, almost immediately I started throwing up.
You did.
I started throwing up, and I threw up from the time we got in that airplane to the time we landed, and have never felt so sick in my entire life.
And this flight wasn't it wasn't rough at all. I mean, it was smooth sailing, and I thought when we started to take off, and I was like, man, this one's not rough. I thought you're going to be okay, and I thought maybe once we got up, you're going to be okay, and you never were okay. You were sick the entire flight.
I had purchased a cup of ice before we left to get on the airplane because I felt like sucking on the ice would kind of help me. Because like I told you, when I felt like I was going to pass out, I just wanted to pour that water on me.
Right.
So I thought if I felt that way again, I could just have this ice and suck on this ice and it would, help that feeling go away. I ate the entire cup of ice, and at one point I felt like I was going to pass out. So I took my little rag that I brought with me. I put it down in that water that was left from the ice, and I just washed it all over my face. And I felt a lot better after that happened. But here it is Tuesday, and this is my first day to feel right.
Yep, you were sick all day yesterday.
Sick all day yesterday.
Yep.
Slept all day yesterday. Slept all night last night. I have a neck problem, as I've talked about before, and I think the forcefulness of my vomiting on the airplane must have caused my muscles to work harder than they normally do. So yesterday I had the neck problem, which caused my head to feel like it was going to explode, and nothing I did would take care of it except for sleep. So I'm back.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I'm
It was,
back.
Yeah, it's hectic when you're not around.
Well, there was a lot that needed to be done
There was
yesterday.
a lot that needed to be done.
And I felt so guilty. I apologized to you over and over, and of course you reassured me, it's okay, I've got everything handled. But I still felt like I needed to be doing my job. And y'all, I'm here to tell you, I said I would never get on an airplane again.
That's what you told me. You said you'll never get on an airplane again. So,
I don't know what happened. I don't know if I had an adverse reaction to the Dramamine, because this was not even the same sickness I had when I was...
Right.
I would have been honored to have that sickness that I had on the way versus what I had on the way back.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if it was just a reaction. The Dramamine didn't sit with you. I just don't know. I really don't.
I said to myself, when you go to the doctor or whatever and they say, are you allergic to anything? I need to probably add Dramamine to my list.
Yeah.
Because something happened. And I don't know if it was anything to do with that. Because I was not right.
You were not right. So.
I was not right. And then we had to drive from Atlanta home.
Yes.
And I told you, I said, let me drive through the Atlanta traffic. And once we get out of the Atlanta traffic, because I felt better driving than I did riding.
You did, and a lot of people that do get motion sickness while riding in a car sick, a lot of times they want to drive.
Yeah.
Because, you don't get sick driving versus you do riding. And so we thought that may be the best option. But you eventually said, I can't do it. I just want to lay down.
I can't do it. And I'm not a sleeper in the car.
Yeah.
But by the time you took the seat, I was asleep.
Yeah, you were.
And I said to myself, boy, if somebody sees Jason driving this car, they're going to know something's wrong.
They go, that's not Cog Hill Farm.
That's not Cog Hill Farm. So I just gave up my wheel and let Jason drive. And I woke up when we got about to Montgomery. Marycarl was in the back seat. She slept too. And
she did.
Whew. I'm here to tell y'all. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But not to say it'll happen to you. Please don't let what happened to me, deter you from flying. That's not what I'm trying to do. I can't figure out what happened to me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's we know the motion sickness is there, and so maybe no more flights for Mrs. Cog Hill.
Maybe not. I loved meeting people, and I don't want to stop doing that by all means. But, depending on where we are, when the next event comes calling
right.
that we would need to fly on, it may be that you take the trip sole, or we drive and
right.
have somebody, hopefully, that can take care of the whole farm.
Right.
But we'll figure it out.
It's
not for anybody watching to worry about.
That's right.
It's just something that we'll have to deal with.
That's right.
Because you and Marycarl have no trouble flying.
None. Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that she did not inherit my part of that.
Right.
Because I get it, honestly. My mom has the same problem. She's been on an airplane a couple of times, and both times she's gotten sick. So.
Wow. And we've flown so many times.
I just didn't anticipate this happening.
And
I really didn't.
And you're the only person that I've seen on the airplane that we could, actually see.
Yeah, well,
that's gotten sick.
I talked to Mama when I got home, and she said, Brooke, it happens to a lot of people. And I was like, Mama, you don't understand. It does not happen to a lot of people. I'm looking at everybody on that airplane, and I'm the only one.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen to a lot of people. So I would love to hear from you if
but I feel like it must, because they got the bags in behind the seats on every plane.
Yeah, and I filled up the first bag, and Jason thought the second bag had been used. Because it had a little tear around the top.
It was crumbly at the top.
And I didn't care if it had been used.
But it wasn't been used. It was just where somebody's leg
It had
was
not been used. I didn't care, though. Y'all let me know if you know what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I would like to know if I may have.
Or if you're not the only one that gets sick when you fly.
Well, I get sick on rides, and I don't go on rides.
No, you don't go on rides or boats.
Yeah. And, I don't know. Not to say I wouldn't have went on the trip, because I thoroughly enjoyed it, like I said, over and over and over again, but I wouldn't have flown.
Yeah, well, we could probably drive next time. We'll see.
I told Nick and Zoe at Chestnut Hills Farmstead I said, I'm driving back with y'all.
Yeah.
And they had 3 children with them.
Yeah.
And 2 adults, and there was no way I could fit in that car.
Right.
And the daughter looked at me and she said, I'll fly. If you want to drive, I'll fly. And I wish a million times over. You even offered to rent a car in the airport.
I did. I said we bought insurance for our plane tickets. We could have canceled them.
You offered, when you saw how sick I was before we got on the plane, you said, Brooke, you said, we can go rent a car and we can drive home. And I thought, I'm going to make it. Right. And I did make it, but it wasn't pleasurable.
It wasn't pleasurable.
And I hate Marycarl got to see me get all sick.
Yeah. It's okay.
But anyway.
Okay. You're back.
I'm back.
Yes, you're back. And everything is hunky-dory. The farm's fine.
And I'm driving from now on, too. No, you did a good job, and I appreciate you.
You're
driving.
welcome. You're welcome. I don't mind at all.
I know you don't. You're a good man. Somebody told me, they said, Jason seems so nice to you and so loving to you, and y'all seem like you have such a good relationship. And she said, I really hope that behind the scenes, it's the same as it appears on the camera. And I'll just tell y'all, I have tears in my eyes because
man.
It is the truth. He is the man that you see on the camera behind the scenes. And that is just, I have so much to be thankful for. And I can't thank him enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you know I'm not a crier, but
I
you can
know.
look at my eyes and you can see that I mean it. I mean it. He would do anything in the world for any of us, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Same for you too. I will
know.
start crying.
I know.
So if you did meet us, I'm so glad that we shook your hand or hugged your neck, and we appreciate y'all beyond y'all can ever imagine. Beyond. My words can't express how much we enjoy every one of y'all. And we will be
we will be driving.
We'll be
to
driving,
Petals from the Past,
which is not that far from us. So
it's not that far.
if you are interested in meeting us and shaking our hands and high-fiving and laughing or whatever, we will be at Petals from the Past on April 23rd. That's a Saturday for their Antiques in the Garden event, and it will be a meet and greet. And they would like for you to register. It's completely free. They just want to get a head count so they can be prepared for parking, restrooms, food trucks. They just want to make sure they got enough for everybody. So go to their website. It's under events. It's easy to find. I'll try to put a link down below as well. Or just go to our website. It's at our website. I forgot about that. You can go to our website to see any event we're speaking at. The next one is in October. I can't remember the date because it's so far out. But October, we will be in Milton, Florida.
And we will drive.
We will drive there, and it too is on our website, so you can go register there as well. And I guess that's it. I just want to say thank you guys. We had an awesome weekend, and thank y'all for being such awesome Cog Squad members.
Just thank you for being you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we are just simple people.
That's right.
Never going to change either.
No, never going to change. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all be good.
Well, it's another one in the books for the Cog Hill 40. Join us again next week for our next edition of the Cog Hill Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.